Hi, welcome to Cloud and Code. Today we will be going through some mock interview questions on ASP.NET Core, SQL, Microsoft Azure, and Angular. What are the advantages of .NET Core over .NET Framework? .NET Core offers advantages in terms of cross-platform support, performance, modularity, open-source nature, inbuilt dependency injection support, and alignment with modern development practices. It is well suited for building applications that need to run on multiple operating systems, leverage containerization, and utilize the latest technologies. .NET Framework is a mature and stable platform best suited for legacy applications and scenarios tightly coupled with Windows-specific technologies. What is dependency injection? And why? DI is a software design pattern in which we inject the dependency object of a class into another. It is a practice of providing dependent objects from outside rather than creating them from inside using the new keyword. Why DI? By delegating object creation outside the caller, we have a better decoupled system. Change at one place, and the changes are reflected across the application. Because of loosely coupled system, we have more flexible, reusable, and independent modules. What is the difference between solid principles and design patterns? Design principle is the principle that are followed while designing a software system for any platform by making use of any programming languages. Solid principles are the design principle that we follow as guidelines to develop robust, extensible, and scalable software system. These apply to aspect of programming. Design patterns are the reusable template solution for commonly occurring problems that can be customized as per the problem requirement. These are well-implemented solutions that are tested properly and are safe to use. Why to even create an interface in CVERS? Interfaces define a contract that classes must adhere to. It allows you to define common behaviors that can be reused across multiple classes. This promotes code reuse and reduces duplication. Enable polymorphic behavior, allowing to write code that works with objects of different classes through a common interface. Are often used in dependency injection to decouple the implementation of a service from its usage, promoting more modular and testable code. Interfaces provide a way to achieve a class to implement multiple interfaces. Using interfaces makes your code more maintainable by separating the definition of operations from their implementations. This allows for easier updates and modifications to individual components without affecting other parts of the system. Can you explain the differences between clustered and non-clustered indexes in SQL Server? Clustered index. A clustered index determines the physical order of data in a table. There can be only one clustered index per table because the data rows themselves are stored in the order of the clustered index. The leaf nodes of a clustered index contain the actual data pages of the table. A primary key constraint automatically creates a clustered index on the columns. Non-clustered index. A non-clustered index does not alter the physical order of the data in the table. Instead, it creates a separate structure that holds a pointer to the physical data rows. There can be multiple non-clustered indexes on a table. The leaf nodes of a non-clustered index contain pointers to the data pages. When would you use clustered and non-clustered indexes? Clustered index. If you frequently query ranges of data, such as date ranges, a clustered index is beneficial because the data is stored in sorted order. This makes range queries faster. By default, the primary key of a table is a good candidate for a clustered index because it ensures that the rows are uniquely identified and typically queried often. If you frequently need the data sorted or grouped by a particular column, a clustered index on that column can speed up these operations. Non-clustered index. If you need to frequently search for data based on columns other than the primary key, non-clustered indexes can significantly speed up these queries. You need to create multiple indexes to support various queries. Since you can have multiple non-clustered indexes per table, you can optimize for different columns or combinations of columns. When you want to include additional columns in the index to cover a query completely, eliminating the need to access the actual table. To optimize join operations, especially when foreign key columns are frequently used in join conditions. Explain how you would optimize this query if the tables are very large and the performance is a concern. Create indexes on join columns and consider composite indexes. Use specific column names, choose the correct join type, and avoid functions in where clauses. Implement table partitioning if the tables are very large. Regularly update statistics and rebuild indexes. Review and optimize the execution plan. Implement pagination for large result sets. What is Azure Web App Service and what are its key features? Azure Web App Service is a fully managed platform for building, deploying, and scaling web apps. Allows developers to focus on building applications without managing servers or operating systems. Supports various deployment methods including Git, GitHub, Bitbucket, Azure DevOps. Offers built-in scaling options both vertically, changing the instance size, and horizontally, adding more instances. Auto-scaling can be configured based on metrics like CPU usage or memory. Allows you to configure custom domains. Provides built-in support for authentication with Azure Active Directory, AAD, and other identity providers like Facebook, Google, and Microsoft accounts. Integrates with Azure Application Insights for comprehensive monitoring and diagnostics, including performance metrics, request tracing, and exception tracking. Allows you to create and manage multiple environments, e.g., development, staging, production, using deployment slots, making it easier to test changes before going live. Describe scalability in Azure. Vertical scalability, scaling up, down. Increasing or decreasing the capacity of an existing resource, like upgrading a VM to a larger size. Horizontal scalability, adding more instances of a resource to distribute load, scaling out, or removing instances, scaling in as demand decreases. How do you implement auto-scaling for an Azure app service? To implement auto-scaling for an Azure app service, navigate to the Azure portal, select your app service, and then go to the Scale Out, App Service Plan section. Here, you can configure auto-scaling settings by creating scaling rules based on specific metrics such as CPU usage, memory usage, or HTTP request count. Define the conditions for scaling in or out, specifying the threshold values and the number of instances to add or remove when those thresholds are met. Additionally, you can set a schedule for scaling actions to accommodate predictable load variations, such as business hours. Once configured, Azure will automatically adjust the number of running instances to match the demand, ensuring optimal performance and cost efficiency. Could you explain the role of components in Angular? Components are the fundamental building blocks of an application. A component is essentially a TypeScript class. Interact with the HTML template to render the view and manage the application's data. Each component in Angular encapsulates the logic, template, and styles specific to a part of the user interface. Components enable modular development by allowing developers to break down complex applications into smaller, reusable pieces, enhancing maintainability and scalability. Describe how data binding works between a component and its template in Angular. Data binding in Angular is the mechanism for coordinating parts of a template with parts of a component. There are 4 types of data binding. Interpolation, one-way data binding from component to template. Interpolation allows you to embed expressions into the template and display the component's data. Property binding, one-way data binding from component to template. Property binding allows you to set the properties of HTML elements or directives to the values of component properties. Event binding, one-way data binding from template to component. Event binding allows the template to respond to user actions by executing methods in the component. Two-way data binding. Two-way data binding allows for synchronized data exchange between the template and the component, meaning changes in the template update the component's data and vice versa. Can you explain the different types of module loading in Angular and when you might use each one? Eager loading. All modules are loaded at the start. Used for essential modules needed immediately. Can lead to longer initial load times because all modules are loaded up front. May result in slower startup times if there are many modules or large files. The app module in an Angular application is typically eagerly loaded. Lazy loading. Modules are loaded on demand as users navigate. Used for feature modules or less critical functionality. Reduces the initial bundle size, leading to faster startup times. Modules are loaded on demand, which can improve perceived performance. Faster initial page load and better performance for the initial view. Additional modules are loaded as needed, which can enhance user experience for subsequent navigation. Preloading. Background loading of modules after the initial load. Used to enhance performance without delaying the initial load. Can improve performance by preloading modules that users are likely to access soon without impacting the initial load time. Enhances user experience by making subsequent routes or features available more quickly. Thank you for watching this video. If you find this video useful, like this video and subscribe my channel. Stay tuned for more mock interview videos.